We've been hearing this morning about how coming together is necessary for the good of our cities. Yesterday afternoon, the seminar that I had the privilege of being involved in was focusing on some of the challenges for coming together. And one of the things that was named was time. And it's a real joy to have Jonathan with us today. You may or may not know, but the Diocese of Oxford has more churches than any other in the country, slightly over 800, I believe. Yeah. And the Bishop of Oxford retired about a week ago.
Yeah.
And you're with us today. So this is a wonderful sign of how, when we care about unity and we see the importance of collaboration, then it's something that we make time for. And Jonathan, we'd just love to hear from you this morning, just a few thoughts about how you, from your perspective, how you see mission and our togetherness, and just a little, just to hear something of really your perspective and what's on your heart would be wonderful.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you for welcoming me to this summit. I love the dance. It's beautiful. It's creative. It reaches parts of you that words can't. And there's so much in common between that and what we actually do in our diocese. And I also work out of Christchurch, our cathedral. And last year we put in a new stained glass window, about the first one for 100 years. And it's the prodigal son. Very much a similar story to what we've just had in the dance. It's a beautiful story, and the children and the adults love to go in and just look at it and see the light of Christ that reflects through the glass and tells the story. And we put it next to the stained glass window from the 17th century by Van Linger of the Jonah looking out over Nineveh and the city. And Jonah, having not sure whether he really wants to go to Nineveh, but feeling the call of God compels him to do that. And that is deeply rooted in the Anglican tradition, as it is as part of your summit movement. I love your values to be rooted in place. And that's what we want to be as Anglicans. Everyone in this country virtually is in a parish, an Anglican parish. I love the value of being driven by God's love through prayer and built on relationships. Because we all know you can't impose, you can't compel, you have to draw out and work alongside. And if you've never been familiar with them, let me introduce you to the Anglican Communion's 5 marks of mission. You'll be familiar with them as individual marks because they're deeply rooted in the Gospels, in the Acts of the Apostles, in the epistles, and in the teaching of the church down the ages. And they're very simple to remember. And I'll look at my notes to make sure I get it right. Tell, teach, tend, transform, and treasure. Let me spell those out a little bit for you. Tell, and this is the lens through which everything has to happen. Tell is proclaim the good news of the kingdom. And I love that because gospel, good news, and kingdom go together. We are here very much for the salvation of souls, but also of communities and cities and anything that will uphold the kingdom of God in our place. And it also says that it's not our mission, it is the mission of Jesus. And all the elements of that mission should be ours as well. And then teach, baptize, and nurture new believers. I think you've heard a lot about the Great Revival, or some of you may have heard of that, or what we've sometimes called the Great Awakening. I know there's some statistical verification to be done on this, but the narrative, the stories are such that people are searching for the good news of the kingdom. And I don't think Anglicans, some churches notwithstanding, are as strong at nurture and discipleship as some other denominations. We've got something to learn on that. We have a great history of it, but we've perhaps done less of it recently. But there's a great need to do it because there's a crying call. Thirdly, respond to human need by loving service. That is tend. Now, the church is traditionally strong at this. We have a reach and a depth that no other part of third society, the third sector, whatever you call it, can do. We have an extraordinary army of people across this city, across many cities, from the food banks, the debt centres, and so forth, helping, restoring, being with people at the lowest point. And then more proactively transform unjust structures of society, challenge violence of every kind, and pursue peace and reconciliation. That's a big call. And our diocesan values are to be more Christ-like for the sake of God's world, contemplative, compassionate, and this is where this one kicks in, courageous. We need to be courageous in proactively challenging violence and injustice. That's why we also work across the different faith sectors of this city, this county, this region of Thames Valley, which is coterminous with the diocese, to bring community cohesion with civic and faith and charity and business leaders. I know that's what Gather is about, and I think we could probably connect a bit more on that side. And then finally, and this is one which we added more recently, and this is treasure. Treasure is the growing understanding of the global ecological crisis. So in other words, it's strive to safeguard the integrity of creation and sustain and renew the life of the earth. And there's a lot of work, obviously, to do on that in our cities, individually, and in response to God's call. So, taken as a whole, that's the 5 marks of Anglican mission. I think there's so much common ground with different denominations, with faith, business, charity, civic leaders. I applaud your work. It's an answer to what God said through Jeremiah, to pray for the peace of the city of where you are placed. So I applaud your vision and values and pray that we can grow in partnership. Often that's organic partnerships at local level, as Jesus prayed.
Wonderful. Wasn't that good? Thank you very much indeed. Joy.